Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, welcome to the Alliance Française of Durban, and thank you for being here for this very special ceremony. Today we are celebrating a passionate advocate for the arts, who, throughout his outstanding career, has been tirelessly committed to defending the interests of artists and cultural players in this country that we all cherish. We are also celebrating a friend whose support for France and the cultural exchanges with France has been invaluable, and whose advice we have been always seeking, year after year. I hope we have not bothered you too much, Ismail. In order to build a relationship with the South African cultural scene that would not only be strong, but most of all, that would be meaningful. Dear Ismail, you were born on 29th of May 1959 in Lenasia. You started your professional life as a mathematics teacher. Please tell me if I'm wrong. Your connection to culture was already quite powerful then, as you organized numerous cultural activities and student trips, field trips, to the theaters or the festivals. This experience, and more generally the benefits of extra school activities for your students, have led to your commitment for artistic education and access to culture for young audiences. 1986 was the year you started to fully dedicate yourself to art and culture, as you joined the Creative Arts Workshop as its director. When you left it in 1996, 10 years later, the Creative Arts Workshop was the largest independent production company at the National Arts Festival, and you managed to keep it operating despite the absence of government funding at that time. Ever since then, your concern for making artistic projects financially sustainable has never wavered. You became the director of the Witbank Civic Theatre in Mpumalanga in 1996. You contributed to the transformation of this organization and led the theatre to generate income. You also contributed to its visibility by connecting it to national and international festivals. In 2004, you joined the United States Consulate in Johannesburg as a senior cultural specialist, which makes us wonder why we did not come up with this brilliant idea first. But hats off for the Americans. I didn't know that, Ismail. Huh? I learned that part from the speech. Alongside these impressive positions as a cultural administrator, you are a published author and published writer, and have staged numerous productions in the National Arts Festival, the KwaZulu-Natal Playhouse Women's Festival, the Windybro Theatre, the Market Theatre, among others. You stopped presenting your own works when you became the artistic director of the National Arts Festival in 2008. We would like tonight, thinking of this new position that you had in 2008, we would like also to pay tribute to your dear friend, Lynette Marais, whose passing in August has deeply affected you as well as the entire South African cultural scene, and who entrusted you with this new challenge when she retired from the festival. Your time at the National Arts Festival was a very intense but also a rewarding one. During your 8 years as an artistic director, the National Arts Festival grew its audience base substantially and gained support from more and more partners and sponsors. And you were key in extending the festival's international program, and this is how your close relationship with France really began. The National Arts Festival in 2012 was a highlight of the South African cultural season. You may remember this important Prost season in 2012, with numerous French productions being staged. This relationship became deeper and stronger throughout the years. When you became CEO of the Market Theatre Foundation in 2016, it was very natural for the French Embassy and the French Institute of South Africa to continue supporting your work and partnering with you. With Marion Claudel, who was our cultural attaché at the time, you remember Marion, she knows that we are together tonight and she's also very proud of you. She used to be our cultural attaché before Céline. Where is Céline? Céline is here. You were able to sign a memorandum of understanding between the Market Theatre and the French Institute of South Africa, IFAS, which was the basis of several projects, such as the staging of the French play Tartuffe, or the touring of the French dance performance Tordre Band, by Rachid Ouhamdan. In 2018, a new partnership was initiated, this time with the Market Laboratory and its newly created theatre company, Kwasha. Kwasha, which is now in its 4th year of existence, is a theatre company which aims to give early professional experience to a small number of very motivated young theatre graduates, selected through an audition. During the year, Kwasha members receive a monthly salary and are able to focus on developing their practice. Each year, the French Institute of South Africa supports the staging of a play by a Francophone author. And that's how we met for the first time, Ismail, in 2019. When we look back, we can definitely say that your time at the Market Theatre Foundation was a very fruitful one for French-South African cooperation. Having said that, our biggest question mark in 2020 was not when will this pandemic end, but rather what will Ismail do? After he was made public that you would resign from your position at the Market Theatre Foundation. It did not come as a surprise to see you reconnect with the festival environment, which you had been familiar with during your years in Makhanda. This new adventure came at a time when the situation is more challenging, of course, than ever for the arts and culture sector, as a great number of projects have been put on hold for over 1 year now due to COVID-19. I must say that the Center for Creative Arts and the University of KwaZulu-Natal are lucky to have you on board, especially during this challenging time. And we are sure you will ardently dedicate yourself to developing Time of the Writer, the Durban International Film Festival, Jumba, and Poetry Africa, and make good use of your amazing skill set, especially when it comes to creating new partnerships. What is striking, though, is that you are never vocal about your extraordinary curriculum and achievements. This is a lot of humility and modesty around you. You are vocal, Ismail, about your positions and ideas, and all your Facebook followers know that. You don't mince your words. But when it comes to your personal achievements, you're very low profile and modest. And everybody here will undoubtedly agree on the fact that you are not only extremely humble, but also truly generous and altruistic. Your different positions in arts and culture have always been used as an opportunity for you to pave the way for others, and a platform to make a difference and express your views regardless of the challenges that you sometimes had to face. You are or have been the board member of a great number of cultural organizations, such as the National Children's Theatre Trust, Assitege, the Naledi Theatre Awards, the Lefika Art Therapy Center, and in 2020 you were appointed to the Cape Town City Ballet Board, which actually, I believe, was the origin of a wave of speculations around your potential relocation to the Western Cape. But finally, no, you chose KwaZulu-Natal. Well done. You were more recently one of the brilliant minds behind the launch of the STAND Foundation, which aims to support performing arts in South Africa and serve in the steering committee of the foundation, alongside Gregory Makoma, Mike Van Graan, and Yvette Hardy, among others. Last but not least, you were until recently a member of the Friends of the French Institute Committee, which is chaired by your talented dear friend Mandy van der Spie, who is with us today. Mandy is here. Thank you very much, Mandy, for being with us and coming from Johannesburg to share this moment with us. We are sad to see that Ismail is leaving the Friends of IFAS because he cannot do everything, but we have very good news tonight because Ismail is joining the committee of the Alliance Française in Durban. So thank you very much. This is not the first time, Ismail, that you have received a distinction from the French government. In 2016, you were awarded the distinction of Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres, Knight of the Arts and Letters, which rewards people who have distinguished themselves by their creations in the artistic or literary fields. And I think we can say, oh, it was well deserved. But tonight is a national order, the National Order of Merit, that we have the honor to bestow upon Ismail on behalf of the President of the French Republic, to highlight great services rendered to France and French-South African friendship. This award is bestowed upon those who have contributed to furthering the influence of France through their personality, the expansion of French culture through their activities, and who contribute to the life of French communities abroad. We can honestly say that you meet all the criteria. So today, we are not only celebrating the expert cultural administrator, but also the longtime partner, the friend, the great diplomat, the artist, the outspoken activist, and the independent thinker with impeccable ethics that you are, dear Ismail. And now we will proceed to the formal bestowing ceremony, if you want to come closer. Cher Ismail, au nom du gouvernement français et en vertu des pouvoirs qui me sont conférés par le président de la République française, nous avons le plaisir et l'honneur de vous faire chevalier dans l'ordre national du mérite.
His Excellency, the Ambassador, the Consul General, the Director of Alliance Française, the Chairperson of Alliance Française in Durban, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, including members of the Embassy of France who are here this evening. As the ambassador alluded, the arts sometimes does require one to say things that cause discomfort. I don't intend to say anything that causes discomfort, but I wish to highlight a character that may be of discomfort to us in some ways, given a documentary that was screened this week, but who means an incredible amount to me and the growing up experiences that I've had. Exactly 10 years ago, on the 29th of March 2011, I visited Paris in France for the first time. And I had to say Paris in France because we do have a Paris in the Free State. So while walking through the streets, I stumbled into the Dulce September Boulevard. It came to me as a surprise. But I knew that it couldn't be coincidental that on the 29th of March 2011, I would be drawn to the Dulce September Boulevard. I think in many ways I was beckoned by her spirit. It was the anniversary of the day that the South African school teacher Dulce September turned activist was assassinated in Paris by South Africa's apartheid agents. Of course, a documentary at the present time raises so much more, but that's what the arts do. It raises questions, it allows us to think, and it allows us to engage in debate and discussion. But I have been to Paris several times since then, and I've always made a point of walking down to the Dulce September Boulevard for at least 10 minutes of contemplation. In the 10 minutes of silence that I would spend in the Dulce September Boulevard, it was not only to pay homage to Dulce September for the sacrifices that she made in the fight against apartheid and for having paid so dearly with her life, but it was also to say a silent prayer of appreciation to France for giving shelter to South African artists who had gone into exile during apartheid. My visit to the Dulce September Boulevard on each of my visits to Paris was to express gratitude to France because so many South African artists had made France their home, simply because South Africa at the time was unable to hold them in her palms. I think of Gerard Sekoto, Robin Olin, Vincent Mansoe, Stephen Cohen, Boyce Setswana, and many more. On the 29th of March 2017, South Africa's most legendary Robben Islander leader, Ahmed Kathrada, was buried. It was the 29th anniversary of the assassination of Dulce September. I don't think that that too was coincidental. I think that Ahmed Kathrada was buried on the same day as the 29th anniversary of Dulce September's assassination, because it was a spirit that was calling to him in a praise song as he was lowered down into his grave, because during Ahmed Kathrada's lifetime he had many times paid homage to Dulce September for the role that she had played in the struggle for social justice and equality. On an SABC education program following the city of Cape Town awarding Ahmed Kathrada the freedom of the city, he said, well, and I quote, well, it was really a wonderful gesture, but as I said, I'm less worthy of this award than the people I've mentioned in my speech. Had they been alive, Dulce September, Ashley Creel, Anton Franch are the people who were the coalface of the struggle. We in jail were protected, no police could come and shoot us. These comrades that I'm talking with were not protected, so they sacrificed their lives for the freedom that we enjoy today. And it is in that same spirit that I accept the honor that mine is a simple role to sign at the dotted line, to be visible, to be shaking hands, to speak at the microphone. But I do not achieve what I have achieved had it not been for the artists, the administrators, the cleaners, the kitchen staff, the drivers, the messengers, who all are the wheel around which we turn. During 2014, in a tour to Sweden by the South African Youth Music Education Project, MIAGI, which means music is a great investment, Ahmed Kathrada again paid homage to Dulce September. Again, at that particular point, he said that ours was a struggle for a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic South Africa. This is what sent many people to prison and that is for what many of our colleagues lost their lives and were not alive to see the birth of a democracy in our country. And I think again that reminds us just how many artists we've lost in our country before 1994 who used their bodies and their voices to fight against apartheid, but who did not live long enough to enjoy the dream of 1994. Of course, when Ahmed Kathrada was referring to that, he made direct reference to Dulcie September, but I believe in that struggle he also made reference to every South African artist who gave their bodies and their voices for the struggle for liberation in South Africa. In all humility, when Ahmed Kathrada received the freedom of the city of Cape Town, in his speech, he again paid tribute to Dulcie September. And I repeat that because individuals such as myself who receive honours such as this do not achieve it on our own strengths. We achieve it on the basis of the artists with whom we work. This evening, Mr. Ambassador, when I recall the spirits of Dulcie September and Ahmed Kathrada, I'm honoured by the government of France with this award, and I accept it in honour with great humility and with great remembrance that the work started by Dulcie September and Ahmed Kathrada and a range of artists in our country have died before our birth of democracy. Their fight for social justice in our country is still far from over. I accept this honour with humility and gratitude that France could extend its heart to so many South African artists who made France their home. And I do so with remembrance today of the artists led by the South African opera singer Sibongile Ngoma, a theatre activist, and Tami Akabongo, and several others who have been holed up in the offices of the National Arts Council in Johannesburg for the last 27 days, demanding answers of accountability from the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Unlike Dulcie September and Ahmed Kathrada, who fought apartheid, these passionate artists, locked up in the offices of the National Arts Council, who had previously fought apartheid with their bodies and their voices, are today, with a new kind of determination, once again in a post-apartheid South Africa, fighting a new scourge that is corruption and the maladministration and the misuse of state funds meant to grow the South African arts sector. Now, France has been at the forefront of giving a home to South African artists during apartheid, and France has also been at the forefront of creating opportunities for many South African artists since we embraced a new democracy in April 1994. Last year would have marked the 25th anniversary of the French Institute of South Africa setting up office in this country, but it also would have marked a significant anniversary of the Alliance Française setting up office in South Africa. As a member at the time of the Friends of IFAS during my stay in Johannesburg, I understand how much we had all anticipated the anniversary celebrations, but COVID-19 put an end to all those celebrations. It was through the visionary and strategic ways that IFAS still continued its dynamic engagement with the South African arts sector in the online space. And for that, we're incredibly grateful that you did not let COVID-19 be a barrier, but that you saw that as a new opportunity to engage with South African artists in a whole new way. I want to take this opportunity to express gratitude to the IFAS director, Celine Dever, and to her team for their ongoing support and their collaboration with South African artists. I take this opportunity to also express gratitude to the previous directors of IFAS, Marianne Claudel, Charles Codan, Laurent Clavel, and Benedict Alliot, all with whom I've had the opportunity to work on several projects and collaborations that could bridge opportunities between South African and French artists. I express gratitude particularly to Benedict Alliot and to Laurent Clavel for entrusting me to curate and lead a significant part of the French season in South Africa when I was the artistic director of the National Arts Festival in Grahamstown, Makanda. I also want to thank Mandy van der Spey, who at the time was Standard Bank's sponsorship manager and who for more than 2 decades was pivotal to the success of the National Arts Festival and has unstintedly given me her support. I thank Mandy van der Spey for the opportunity that I've had to serve under her chairpersonship and a stewardship of the Friends of IFAS. I thank Mandy van der Spey for honouring me by travelling from Joburg to Durban today to be with me today as I receive this honourable insignia. And dear Ambassador, as you mentioned, we remember my colleague, my late colleague, Lynette Marais, who certainly would have been with us, but I'm sure that she's smiling down from the heavens where she is. With my relocation from Johannesburg to Durban, I had to resign from the Friends of IFAS because I would not have been able to physically participate in meetings. I have to thank the director and the chairperson of the Alliance Francaise in Durban for warmly welcoming me to this beautiful city and for inviting me to serve on the Alliance Francaise Committee in Durban. I look forward to the team, working with the team, and I only believe that it will be enjoyable as it was working with the Alliance Francaise in Johannesburg, with whom I also owe appreciation for several partnerships projects. Mr. Ambassador, I've had the previous opportunity to work with at least 3 of your predecessors and the many members of your diplomatic corps. I express my gratitude to each of them for their contributions that they have made to my career and for the opportunities that they supported, which allowed me to extend the opportunities for South African and French artists. During the period of 2017 to 2019, I went through one of the most challenging and chilling times in my career, when I had to invoke the Protected Disclosures Act to whistleblow against a public institution in South Africa. It was a period that was marked by vicious and vindictive attack by those whose corruption I had exposed. That 2-year period undoubtedly took a toll on my health and on my person in several ways. But I will always remain grateful to the Embassy of France, the French Institute of South Africa, and the Alliance Francaise in Johannesburg for the unwavering support, the trust and the belief that you have shown in me during those challenging times in my career. And I'm only glad that I did not disappoint you. In 2016, the government of France, as you mentioned, honored me with the Chevalier for the Arts and Literature. And in my acceptance speech, I thanked France for giving us hope at a time in our country when we had despair, courage when we needed resilience, and inspiration when we wanted to envision new realities. Tonight, as I accept this honor of this Chevalier of the National Merit, I once again express my gratitude to France for continuing to give us hope when we have despair, courage when we need to be resilient, and inspiration when we need to be visionary. But I wish to go one step further this evening, because in accepting this honor, I also want to pay homage to the South African artists who, for the past 27 days, have taken occupation of the offices of the National Arts Council simply because they continue to fight and win the same kind of liberties that France has given to our artists. With our newfound democracy and with our precious constitution, which in section 16 guarantees us freedom of speech and freedom of creativity, artists in our country are once again fighting to be engaged by our government with respect, with trust, with dignity and accountability. And if there is one admirable trait of working in the arts sector in South Africa, it is knowing that our sector will always be one in which we never step back from engaging our bodies and our voices in our quest for social justice, for equality, and the desire to build a country that is free of corruption and which can bring us one step closer to the ideals that we envisioned on April 27, 1994. I thank you, Ambassador. I thank the Embassy of France, IFAS, and the Alliance Francaise, both in Johannesburg and in Durban. And I thank all the colleagues who are in this room and outside of this room for contributing to my career. Thank you very much.
So time for music and drinks, and enjoy. Thank you very much.